Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today I'm doing the last of the three Penn Fierce reels that I have. This is a Penn Fierce original. It's not one of the 2 or 3 or 4 series. This is a Penn Fierce original. It's a 5,000 size. And we're going to do a quick video on this. If you've already seen the others and don't care to watch, that's fine. Skip this video, and hopefully tomorrow or the next day I'll be sending a video out on a different type of reel altogether. But for now, let's go ahead and knock out this Penn Fierce. Okay, with the handle removed, the spool off, let's go ahead and take off this bump guard. Had a little trouble there locating my screwdriver. It had fallen to the floor. I don't know why, but it did. All right, this one looks like it may give me a little more trouble. Shouldn't though. It should just come right off. Yeah, there it goes. There we go. It's got a hook up underneath right there. Goes in that slot. Okay. Remove that. And now we are going to remove these 4 screws. This screw here is the only one that's different. It is it's a smaller screw, and it has the inset head. Okay, we'll set that one over. Note that the screws have that clear washer on them. It's a sealing washer. It should help seal the threads against saltwater intrusion. Does it always work? No. Does it make that much difference if you're missing it? I don't think so, but it's there. If you take care of them and don't over torque them, you should be able to put them right back in. Okay, all 3 of those have that. See if we can get the side case to pop off, and it does. Okay. Just some old grease in there. And let's take a look at the bearing. Oh, the bearing come right off with no trouble whatsoever. The shims stayed on the bearing. In this particular reel, we have 1 side shim. Okay, we're going to set that over to the side, and we're going to spray that bearing. All right, what's next? Now we're going to rotate the rotor around until these 2 screws come down. Now that's different from the 3,000 and 4,000 that I did before. Each of those had only 1 screw here, whereas this one has 2. We're going to remove both of these screws. With those removed, we should be able to remove the axle shaft. And it appears to have some old grease gunked up on it because it doesn't want to come out the rest of the way. Okay. So let's go ahead and remove, first off, the crosswind block. Okay, like so. and that looks to be in very good condition. Okay, we're going to pull this up as far as it will go and see if we will now release the main gear. And it does, along with the side plate bearing, which is the same size as the other one. All right. Old grease is fine. We can clean all that out. All right, let's see if we can figure out what's going on with this. Okay, we've got some caked up grease on here. Let's see if that's causing this to stick. Feels as though maybe this axle shaft is bent, and it is ever so slightly bent. And that may be a deal breaker on this. I may have to order an axle shaft for this. Let's see if I can get it to come out. Anyway, there we go. Got it out. I will scrub and clean it, but it seems to be ever so slightly bent. Can you see that? That particular bend I may be able to straighten out. But yeah, that's a very distinctive bend. All right. Now let's go ahead and remove the crosswind gear. And it appears to be in good shape. Now we're going to remove our rotor by taking out this locking screw, the locking plate. Actually, you can leave it on there for right now. And let's see if we have a socket that will fit. We do. Okay, I'm going to take this screw off, or nut off. There we go. That nut off, we can now remove this locking plate. We can go ahead and take this plastic sleeve out, if it will come out, the bushing. And let's take the rotor off. There's nothing inside there, no extra bushings. Okay, only what we see here, which is one single bushing. It almost appears that there's two pieces here, but I don't believe there are. I think it's all one piece. Okay, set that over to the side, and let's remove. That's interesting. This reel has a post inside as though it were designed for an anti-reverse claw, but there's no anti-reverse claw in it. So apparently they either made it so that it could have one, or they made it because it used to have one design-wise on an earlier model, or I don't know, but it's there. Three screws are removed. Let's take the bearing retainer out, and let's pull out this assembly. There we go. Now on here, we're going to have a bearing. It should separate from the anti-reverse. There we go, like so. And then this should slide out of the sleeve. And let's see here. That is very interesting. All of the bearings in this appear to be the same size. Okay, there's our anti-reverse. Let's slip it off along with the sleeve. There we go. And the plastic side of this anti-reverse is going to go facing towards the gear. There's our last bearing. Let's see if this one. How about that? All four bearings in this reel are the same size. All right, now oftentimes when an axle bends, it's pretty much unusable and you can't do anything with it. However, in the area that this one bent, which is right here, I was able to simply, let's get all this out of the way. I was able to simply sit this down flat on a board and tap it ever so gently right here until it flattened itself out. I did take it just a little too far, in which case I turned it back around the other way, tapped it back, and now it's rolling fine, and it appears to fit inside the reel just fine. So I'm going to pause. When I come back, all the parts are going to be clean and ready to reassemble. Okay, we're back and ready to start assembling things again. And one of the things that I did notice in this, in some of the Fierce reels that I've done previously, there was a plastic grommet like this that went into this spot right here. And I just checked the schematics on this, and there's no call for one to be in this spot on this one. So since we only have one and it's not called for, then I'm not going to put it in there. Although it does look like there's plenty of room to put one in there. If you wanted to order a spare, I think it would go okay in there. But there's no call for it. All right, we're going to start off with our pinion gear. And onto the pinion gear goes one of the bearings. And they're all four the same exact bearing, so it doesn't really matter which one you choose. And we're going to give it a liberal drink of oil. Let that start to soak in. And the next thing we're going to look at is our anti-reverse clutch. And you can look inside the anti-reverse clutch by sliding the sleeve out and looking up inside there at the bearings. Now, the way you can clean this is to slide that sleeve out and then run a Q-tip around in here until it comes out clean. And that's what I've been doing with this, and it is now clean. And we'll slide the sleeve back on, and we're going to slide that sleeve onto this pinion gear shaft. There we go, like so. All right, the next item is going to be this bearing retainer along with another one of your bearings, and we're going to slide that into the bearing retainer. And this side that has the offset is the part that's going to go down. So we'll go ahead and set that into place now. Slide it all the way down like so. And let's give that bearing a drink of oil. All right, now while all that is sinking in, we're going to come back and add this sleeve or bushing into the end right there. Okay, and there is no call for one in the case back here. So let's go ahead now and set this in like so. And at that point, we are ready to install our bearing retainer and 3 screws. Leave it a little bit loose until you get the other 2 in. All right, next is going to go on this sleeve. The small side of it goes down, like so. And we're going to stop at that point because the one thing we haven't taken apart yet is going to be this rotor. Now the rotor seems to be working fine, but we're going to take it apart anyway because that's just what we do here. Now, I'm going to recommend that you do not do this assembly unless you absolutely have to. You can normally service these just by spraying them down with some WD-40 and then adding some oil afterwards. So we're going to start off by taking this screw out. Okay, with the screw out, we can now look at this bail and see that it's just a little bit off center. So we need to bend it just a hair to bring it back into alignment, like so. Okay, that way it will not create extra tension on it. So we've got it like that. Let's see if we can get the metal collar out of here on this end. There we go. And that collar's got a plastic sleeve slid into it. All right, slide that back onto here, and we're going to come back and clean all that and service it later. In the meantime, I'll set it there. Now, if we rotate this, we should be able to come over here and remove that out of there. All right. Now, check this side. Does it move freely? Yes, it does. Okay. If it doesn't, then you'll have to take this screw out. This one, however, you can see moves quite freely. This particular one I'm not going to take out because there's nothing there. No springs or anything else. It's just that piece on there. And if you do take it off and you go to put it back on, make sure it's like in this position right here when you put it back on, just so that it will operate like it's supposed to. No, I'm feeling a little bit of grit in there, so I'm going to take this one apart anyway. Okay, take that out. Yep, it's got some old grease in there. We'll remove that. Clean it. Now we're going to go to the other side. Now on the other side, this is the business end of this. This is the side that has the spring load. Hear that spring snap? Okay, we're going to take this and unscrew this screw out of it here. With that done, we're going to lift this up like so we can get to here. And now this spring is where all the tension is at. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this screwdriver to put my thumb on the spring and lift the spring out just a little bit like so to take the tension off of it so I can remove it like that. All right. Now let's go ahead and take this part off. There we go. Take this piece off. And now with that done, you can remove this black plastic piece here. That's your arm for your spring. And then we've got this piece, which is our trip release. We'll go ahead and remove that. And we're going to remove the grease out of here. Now in this instance, there's no grit in here. There's no grime and dirt. It's just old grease. So we're going to quickly just wipe it down. Apply some new grease. And put it all back together again. All right, all these parts have been wiped clean. Now let's go ahead and reassemble the quick end first. This is the one that has nothing really holding anything. And we'll apply a little bit of grease to the center on that. And then we'll set it back into place like so over in this direction. If you set it on there this way, you won't have proper motion. See that? So make sure that you put that on there in this configuration so that it can move like this freely. And let's go ahead and put this screw back in. There we go. And that took that little bit of grinding that was in there, whatever that was, whether it be a piece of sand or dirt or whatever it was, is now gone. All right, let's come back to this side now. All right, we're going to put a little bit of grease in this channel here and over here where the spring's going to ride, like so. And we're going to put some on that center post. And now we're going to take this trip release lever, the long end of it here, is going to go down through this hole, like so. And then we're going to slide it up as far as it will go. Now this part here is the one that's going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to take this part, this little black plastic piece here, and we're going to put grease on the end of it here. Okay, it's going to serve two purposes. One is to allow it to move easily in this part, and the other is to act as a glue to hold it in place like that. Okay, I'm going to turn this over. I'll bring this around, and we're going to set this piece back down on here. Okay, like that. Now, if you look, that black plastic piece can move inside there, back and forth as this would be tripped. Okay, all the grinding is gone, if there was any, which I didn't really feel much there. but there was old grease there. We're going to put this screw back in. Okay, with that screw in, this should move freely, and it does. Now we're going to come back to the spring, and we're going to take that spring and we're going to slide it. Go ahead and move this arm all the way up like this, and then we're going to take this spring, watch very closely, and it's going to slide in over that plastic piece. Okay, once it's there, we're going to slide it up. I'm going to take my screwdriver and hook it into it just slightly and bring it up just enough for my fingers to be able to push the spring down into that notch like that. I'm going to come back, add just a little bit of grease to it so that the spring can slide easily in there. And we're going to operate this. Put your thumb on it so that it can't fly out. There you go. And that's working fine. We're going to slide this piece back into place. There we go. Put this screw back in. All right, that's going to bring us back to the bail now. Let's take this screw off now. Set it down. We're going to blow this up a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, we're going to take this screw out. Now we've got this metal washer here, and it's got a little plastic sleeve. There we go, plastic washer goes on it. Okay, then we've got this roller, and we've got this plastic roller here, which seems to be stuck on the shaft. Let's see if we can get that to come off. And I grabbed it with a rag and pulled, and it came right off. Okay, and there should be one more plastic washer up in here. And that's not always easy to get out either. There we go. There's the last plastic washer out. All right, that's got all these parts here, and we're going to clean each of these. Okay, that's got the shaft cleaned. We've got the plastic washer cleaned, and we're going to go ahead and slide that on. All right, now here's where a little bit of controversy comes in. Some people recommend oiling this right here. I'm going to recommend greasing this. And the reason that they recommend oiling instead of grease is some people are of the opinion that oil will not track sand and micro grit like grease will. Well, they're both liquids. So if one will attract it, I'm of the opinion that both of them will attract it. So if you've got it trapped in there, which is more likely to do less damage? I'm thinking that you'll get less damage out of a grease than you will out of an oil. So I have gone to greasing these instead. So if you wish to oil it, that's just fine. I just made the decision in my own brain that I want to grease them. So that's what I've been doing here lately. Is one right over the other? I don't know, but that's just the way I do it. All right, that's got that in there, and it's down to just that washer. And now we've got our rotor ready. Let's go ahead and back this back out now that we've seen the up close of this. We're going to back this out, and we're going to take this arm and stick it in here and get it to where it will rotate around. There we go. And then bring that arm around. There you go. That fits in beautifully now. It's perfectly aligned with the screw. And let's go ahead and put our screw in. Okay. Make sure that your roller will turn, and it does. Make sure that your bail will flip, and it does. Okay, at this point, we are ready to reinstall the rotor back on the pinion shaft. And we have to line up the flats on the rotor shaft or pinion shaft with the flats inside the rotor. And you may be able to look down through it like this. and line it up. The key is making sure you get it lined up. Don't force it if it's not lined up. And look at here, found something new. That sleeve has got to go on after you put the rotor in. Otherwise, it won't go in. It's hanging over the edge just enough to keep that rotor from going on. So there's an interesting little fact for you. Okay, let's go ahead, put this nut back on. Okay, we're spinning freely. Let's go ahead, put our nut lock back on. There we go. There's our screw hole there. And we're going to put this last screw back in, or the screw for that. It's not the last screw. And I'm going to use the trick of putting just a little bit of grease on the end of the screwdriver to hold it to the screwdriver. And let's put this together. Shoot the screw in. All right, we are ready at this point to reinstall our side bearing. That's this one down in here. We're going to slide it in, drop it into place, give it a nice liberal dose of oil, like so. Then we're going to want to take the crosswind gear and give it a good coating of oil, grease everywhere. All right, we're going to flip this over, drop it down in here like so, with the post to the rear. Then we're going to take our crosswind block, coat it on the bottom side and in the groove with grease, and let's set that in. Now this small end over here has got to slip underneath this metal part over here, and then drop into the gear. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try again. Okay. Like so. Okay. See if we're in. Yes, we are. Okay, go ahead and push the gear back. There we go. All right. Now we're ready to install the main gear, and we're going to need to give it a good coat of grease on its gear teeth. Okay, and I'm going to put a little bit on the back of the gear just to help prevent it from corroding in the future if it does manage to get any salt water in there. Like so. All right. Now we're ready to slide that gear in. Okay, as I was cleaning, I found more shim washers. Okay, we're going to install all of those on the gear. And we should be ready now to go ahead and slide in our axle shaft, which I'm going to oil. I have straightened it as I showed you earlier. Now, let's go ahead and slide it in. Like so. And that should be ready for these screws to go in. Now we're going to install the last side bearing. Slide it in and give it a good dose of oil. Like so. And we're going to install the side cover. least that's the plan. There we go. Now we'll install the screws. And Chris, this is for you. I'll go ahead and give a shot of oil into each of the holes because Chris likes to do that, and I do too. It just helps keep them from corroding in the future. Okay, and we have this countersunk screw left to put in back here. All right, and this bump assembly cap goes on here like so, and we'll put that screw in. There we go. All right, now let's put the handle on. Tighten it down and see how things spin up. Much better. Okay, and there is no anti-reverse override. Let's try our bail. Oh yeah. Very nice. Okay, that's going to bring us down to just doing the spool now. Okay, we're going to remove the spool, and this is just like the Fierce that I did last. It's got the 3 screws. Let's see if this one's going to have the felt washers in it like the other one did. Okay, let's pull out this metal sleeve, metal ring. There we go. All right, now let's remove the drag washers. Let's see what we have. All right, we have felt drag washers again. This time, however, we've stepped up to an added drag washer. All right, I'm going to clean these up, and I'll come back to you in just a minute with all the parts clean. After a few minutes of cleaning, we are now ready to reassemble. And what we have here is we have a 10 washer drag stack. And what that means is the Fierce reel that I did yesterday, the 4000, or day before yesterday, the one that I did before only had 3 felt washers and these 3 washers. Okay, the keyed, the eared, and the keyed. Now this one has got the keyed, eared, keyed. And that makes it a much stronger drag stack. All right, let's go ahead and start off. We're going to put in a felt washer. And because they're felt washers, we're going to oil them instead of grease them. And you see, yeah, we're going to go ahead and give that a drink of oil. We're going to put in a keyed washer. Drop it down. We're going to put in another felt washer and give that a drink of oil. Put in the eared washer. Now the eared washer is going to be a little bit different. It's got to go in with these ears into these 2 slots right here, like so. Okay, you see that? Just like that. Okay, we're going to follow that up with another washer, felt washer. Give it a drink of oil. Give it a keyed washer and another felt washer. Drink of oil. Back to an eared washer. Into the slots. And our final felt washer. There we go. And our final keyed washer. All right, that's got all those in there. And now we can put this metal ring back in, line up the screw holes and the screws, and you can get them screwed back in. All right, that's all 3 screws back in. Now, underneath here, make sure that this is clean and smooth under here. That's where your lower drag washer is going to ride. There it is right there. I've already wiped that off. It doesn't need any oil. It's Teflon. It really doesn't need anything. What you do need to do, though, is put a coating of oil on this clicker, because these clickers get water intrusion and they rust. And when they rust, they're pretty much gone, and that kind of takes out the spool. All right, slide the spool back on, rotate it around, watch it drop down. There it goes. Just needed a little bit of maneuvering. Okay, let's take a look at our knob. Knob's got some dirt up underneath it. Let me wipe that off. All right, let's put the knob back on. Tighten it down. There we have the Penn Fierce original version 5,000 side, and it's ready to go fishing. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. And if you'd like to see further videos like this and you have not previously subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And that's pretty much it. This is Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels. Tomorrow, I plan to be doing something totally different than these Penn Fierce reels, but I wanted to knock out all 3 of these that I have because I'm planning to put them to use. So you will get reports as I go and see if I like them. I've never fished with them before. These are going to be new to me. And we're going to put them out in the water and see how they do. For now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, signing out.